I'm very happy to be here. So we have so much to talk about today, so I'm gonna try and make it short. So, mm, I was born in Uzbekistan, right? And then when I was around 10 years old, we moved to United Arab Emirates. And then I lived in Egypt for a bit, went back to UAE, finished school, and then lived in Czech Republic. And then for the first time, I lived in Russia. So, and throughout these countries, I have learned many languages and many skills and understood so many cultures, which I think you would like to talk about today.
Hmm. Wat is vir jou laat besluit en meer spesifiek Stilbaai toe te kom en wat beplan jy om weer terug te kom Stilbaai toe?
What made you decide to come to South Africa and specifically Stilbaai? And do you think you'll come back here in the future?
So usually in life, when the world invites me, I go, you know? And it was a circumstance. I got the Russian citizenship and I realized I can stay in South Africa for 3 months. And my best friend is here, Ray. And so I decided to visit.
Hoe is Stilbaai so ver vir jou?
Do you enjoy Stilbaai so far?
Oh, I love it very much because, I came here for a slow life, by the ocean and enjoying my time. And that's exactly what I'm getting. We go on so many hikes and I speak to so many people. I just love it here,
Hoe geniet jy dit so ver in Stilbaai en Suid-Afrika te so ver?
I think she just answered that question.
Okay, sorry. So wat dink jy van Stilbaai? Sal jy wil langer bly in Stilbaai of sal jy wil korter bly of sal jy weer langer bly in Stilbaai?
Do you think you would like to stay longer in Stilbaai? Come back here in future?
I might as well because I have many things I can do here, like using my skill set. And why not? If the opportunity turns up, I might come back.
Ons gaan nog lekker musiek nog verder luister. Ons gaan lekker gesels met 'n Russiese dame hier op Data Radio vanoggend en haar storie te vertel en Marina wat aan ons tolkel is vanoggend. So my tolk is nie baie goed vanoggend die Engels nie. So hier is tog lekker musiek van Siri. No One Needs. Ons welkom weer terug by ons. Ons gesels lekker met Anna, 'n Russiese girl wat hier bietjie op Stilbaai kuier, 'n bietjie Stilbaai haar dinge doen. Anna, vertel ons 'n bietjie meer jou liefde vir kos maak en die verskillende tussen.
Anna, can you tell us more about your love for making food and all these different kind of food dishes you like to make?
Oh, for sure. As I have said before, I was surrounded by so many cultures. And like with design, sometimes you need to see a lot. But with food, you need to try so much. And that's where my love for food came from. But my favorite things to make is sauces. That's my specialty. Yeah. But generally, so I was growing up in Uzbekistan and, we have these amazing markets there and the food is just outstanding. And then it was Arabic cultures that got mixed into that. Also, I got the European experience. So I was living in Czech Republic, but for 5 years I was working with Italians. And that's where I got the actual experience, if you know what I mean.
And I can tell you that the sauces that she makes is out of this world. It's like eating art. Ja, die souse wat sy maak is net amazing. Ek kan instaan daarvoor.
Wat is souse gebruik hulle? Hoe maak hulle souse?
So how do you actually what is the basic for making a nice sauce?
So you have to understand that flavors, you have to use them as your colors, right? And another thing about sauces, they don't like extreme heat, for example, right? And you need enough moisture and enough fat and acidity. So it's basically chemistry.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Vertel ons 'n bietjie meer daarvan wat jy graag maak.
Ja, ek dink sy het klaar daai vraag beantwoord.
Okay.
Ja, die kosklasse.
Okay, yes. Jy beplan blykbaar kosklasse instel by mense, weet nie daarvan nie. Vertel ons 'n bietjie meer daarvan wat die mense kan verwag.
Oh, we hear that you are planning to maybe have a cooking classes here in Stilbaai. That sounds very interesting. Can you tell us more about that and what people can expect?
I would love to share that. And yes, that is true. So what I want to do through my cooking classes is not just teach people how to make a dish. I want to share the culture. I want to share the origin of that dish. So first I'm planning to do something about Russian culture. And that's going to be most probably the borscht, if you have heard about it. Because with borscht, it's not just a soup. You have the whole ceremony with it, you know. You need to sit down, you need to have your sides, you know, and special things that if you want to know, you can come. And also, I really want to do an Italian lesson, so maybe cook lasagna with the people of Stilbaai. Yeah, it's going to be fun, I'm sure.
Dis nou dan ek sommer honger hier so waar ek sit ek so lus vir lasagne nou.
En Anna gaan vir ons nou na hierdie volgende musiek 'n resep gee. So almal kry julle pen en papier reg. Get your pen and paper ready because Anna's going to give us a recipe for something after the music.
Ja, so die mense wat reg staan vir lekker resep wat ons gaan deel nou. Hierso is Moody Blues op jy het Moody Blues nie. Dit is nou 'n Moody Blues, dit is al van Elvis. Dan kan jy gou so 'n bietjie Elvis hier op lekker. Amper daar so hier in die mense se huis hier so 'n bietjie met Elvis se musiek. Jy gaan nou vir ons 'n bietjie resep deel wat baie lekker is. Kan jy vir ons 'n resepie deel?
So can you please share with us a recipe that's easy and quick for people to make?
For sure. I thought about this, and to you, my braai lovers, I'm going to suggest a side that's going to just blow your mind. So when I was in Czech Republic, I had Iranian friends, and they taught me a salad. So what you have to do, you'll have to take a broccoli, like a broccoli head. You have to wash it well. And then you take a knife and you kind of cut off all the curly parts, if you know what I mean. Then you'll have to take a pomegranate. Yeah. It gets exciting.
Granaat. Dis 'n granaat. 'n pomegranate is 'n granaat.
Okay.
So you add it to your broccoli, and you take a cucumber and you cut it into fine cubes, add it there too. And then all you're going to need is lemon juice, salt, a bit of pepper, black pepper, and mayonnaise. And that with like fried meat, barbecue, that's so good. Just trust me on this one.
That sounds really easy. Even I will be able to make that.
Maar dan kan jy vir ons vinnig die resep vinnig gee as jy wil.
In Afrikaans.
Asseblief, as jy nie kan omgee nie.
Okay, so you start off with the broccoli. Okay, ek moet Afrikaans wat. Okay, so okay, dis die broccoli wat jy wat jy goed was en dan met 'n mes die krullerige deeltjies afsny. Ja, en dan after the broccoli
pomegranate.
Dan granate, nie die granaat waarmee mens oorlog mee maak, jy granate, rooi granate. So granate, and then after that
you have to cut a cucumber into fine cubes.
Dan sny jy 'n komkommer in klein stukkies.
And then all you need is a lemon juice, salt, black pepper and mayonnaise.
En dan is dit suurlemoensap en swart peper en mayonnaise. En jy meng alles tesame. En dit is hy sê dis 'n baie lekker slaai saam met braaivleis.
So sê jy van braaivleis, hè? Wat is jou gunsteling Russiese en daai ander Uzbek se gereg?
What's your favorite Russian and Uzbekis dishes that you love to make?
So usually in my house, we prefer Uzbek cuisine, actually. So there is this dish called manti. It's basically meat inside like bigger type of dumplings that you make on steam, for example. There's also plov, so it's rice and and meat, but with different spices, so it's very flavorful. But also in my house, I like to cook Arabic food, and my mom cooks the Russian food. I don't know, that's how it goes. uh, What else? What else do we like to make? I absolutely love making an Arabic dish, Egyptian one actually, called molokhia. So it's made out of jute leaves and like very nice chicken broth that you serve with rice. You know.
Vertel ons vir meer van die tradisionele kos en kultuur van Uzbekistan.
Before we go to the next question, I just want to tell our listeners in Afrikaans, the one she said about it caught my attention, the Uzbek one, that the one with the dumplings and the meat. Can you tell me, I can translate in Afrikaans, so what is it exactly?
So basically it's meat dumplings, usually it's just from beef. And also in Uzbekistan, you have these special sheep.
Yeah.
They're the fat-tailed sheep, so we use that fat to cook with it, because it gives this flavor and aromas, and then you add like some spices with it, and you make dumplings. So it's like it's we get with my mother and we do it for like many hours. It's like bonding time.
Is it the dumplings where you put the meat inside?
Ja, obviously.
Okay, wat sy hiervan praat is nie die dumplings wat ons bo-op geregte maas het, as jy nou maar as ons 'n sop of 'n potjie koswookie, dit is wat jy kry wat die vleis binne in die deeg kom. Soos sy sê, die spesiale vetstert skaap wat hulle dit vat 'n paar ure om dit voor te berei en dan sit hulle die skaapvleis binne in die deeg en hulle noem dit ook dumplings en so dit is 'n dumpling wat dis eintlik deeg met vleis binne in en ons het dit al geëet van die goed al geëet daar in Georgia en dis baie lekker. The next question is tell us more about the traditional food and culture of Uzbekistan. The food I think we did now. The culture of Uzbekistan. What makes that unique?
Yeah.
So the culture is amazing. So when I was growing up there until I was 10, right, you could go to the market and by the smell, you could, you can get to the food you want because everything is so flavorful. And so it was just amazing. And so as you know, Uzbekistan had the Silk Road running through it. So that left many cultures and many spices to be there. I got lost in thought.
I'm trying to just tell people where Uzbekistan is.
Ja, waar is Uzbekistan? Ek het nog nooit iets van Uzbekistan geweet nie. Is dit 'n groot plek? Is dit 'n klein plekie? Waar is dit in?
Uzbekistan is baie groot. I'm going to explain to you in Afrikaans where it is. So, okay, ek het nou op die kaart hier mooi gekyk want ek weet dit is oos van Georgia. So Uzbekistan is eintlik bokant onderkant is Pakistan, jy kry Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, dan Turkmenistan en dan Uzbekistan en dan bo dit Kazakhstan. So dis eintlik
al die Kazakhstane bymekaar.
So mense sê dis al gaan toer in die stands. Want dis baie interessante lande om in te toer. So Uzbekistan is heeltemal oos van Georgia en die Swart See. So 'n hele end onder Rusland, dit was deel van die ou Russiese republieke en ek sal sê so skuins regs bokant Iran. Dis waar Uzbekistan is.
Okay, but I think the listeners might get the wrong idea right now because Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and even Tajikistan, they're part of Central Asia and they used to be in the USSR before. So it's a completely different culture, not completely, like food-wise and clothes and, Islam. Okay, it comes from the other side, but they're much more, more into the Russian direction. Like when I was living there as a child, completely everything was in Russian, you know. So you shouldn't mix Uzbekistan with the countries south to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Ja, wat sy probeer sê is dat dit was deel van die USSR in al die republieke. So dit is, alhoewel dit naby die lande meer suid daarvan is dit meer deel van die vir baie jare deel gewees van die Russiese kultuur.
Yes. Ek het 'n boodskap gekry van iemand wat vra wat dink jy van Suid-Afrika?
Somebody's asking what do you think about South Africa?
South Africa, I will have to do more traveling. Yeah, but so far I've read a lot about history and the politics of South Africa, and that's very interesting, you know. You lead interesting lives, I must say. So yeah, there is much more to be discovered. But right now I'm concentrating on Still Bay and, you know, the people here and their mentality and priorities and beliefs.
Ja, voor sy teruggaan, before you go back, we would like to at least take you to a game reserve. Sal baie graag na Albertinia se natuurreservaat toe wil vat, dat sy daarom bietjie van ons wildlewe sien. So dit is op die bucketlist terwyl sy hier is.
Lyk my Marina het vanoggend gekom, lyk my Marina gaan my ook seker saam nou op die game reserve.
Ek dink dan sal ons borge moet kry.
Iemand het weer gevra het vir ons is hou jy van pannekoek en van koeksisters?
Okay. Ek moet eerlik sê sy het nog nie jy didn't have koeksisters yet. Sy het nog nie koeksisters geëet nie, maar sy het al definitief pannekoek geëet met kaneelsuiker en met melkterde. So do you like pancakes, but you haven't had koeksisters yet?
The pancakes I love. I see the difference from other pancakes, but we also know that there's so many different pancakes around the world. But I like yours. Yeah.
Terug te kom, jy was ook in Egipte. Hoe verskil hulle kultuur en kos van Rusland en Uzbekistan?
So you've been in Egypt. So how does that differ in culture and food from Russia and Uzbekistan?
So let me think. So from the Russian food, it differs like completely. You know, like a lot of Russian dishes might seem very bland, like taste-wise, but in Egypt, Uzbekistan, and any other countries, they like spices, you know, and that makes the food more flavorful. That's why I prefer those.
So ja, soos sy sê, die kos in Rusland is meer nie so gespice nie so gegeurd nie. Sy verkies die meer gegeurde kosse van Egipte en Uzbekistan.
So ja, ek leer nou baie goedjies. Om terug te kom, is Uzbekistan 'n skoon land? Of is dit maar soos ander lande nie skoon land is nie?
Oh, he's asking if Uzbekistan is clean. And as far as I know, it's a very big country. And is it a clean country or is it a lot of like pollution? Can you tell us more?
So Uzbekistan actually is very clean because before coming here, I was in Egypt. And in Egypt, the culture is like, they don't really care about the aesthetic look of places or like, you know, the cleanness in the streets. Because Egypt is about other things, you know, like, you know, you have to go there to understand. But in Uzbekistan, now that you make me think of it, the streets are very clean and everything is like well kept. Like you don't see dirty neighborhoods anywhere, but this is something like in their culture. But right now, honestly, I'm talking more about Tashkent because I haven't been to like other cities except Samarkand, which is very beautiful. I would recommend it. And the food there is spectacular.
Sorry, ons gaan nou weer lekker musiekie luister en dan gaan ons iets wat die mense se hart aanraak oor die nuus in Rusland en Oekraïne. So moenie weggaan nie, bly by ons gaan nog lekker musiek maak en hierso is Always on My Mind op die reis lekker saam. So. hierdie Elvis se liedjie, I was on my mind het of vinnig gestop want ek gedink het so ons gesels lekker met 'n Russiese girl van Rusland. Iets wat baie in jou hart gaan aanraak. Ons hoor baie van die oorlog tussen Rusland en Oekraïne oor die enemies. Sonder om diep politiek in te gaan, hoe raak dit gewone families en mense wat jy ken?
Yeah, we hear a lot here in South Africa about the war between Russia and Ukraine. Without going deep into politics, how does it affect the ordinary families on the street and the people that you know?
Well, that's a sensitive question. But usually, like right now, the situation in Russia. So let me tell you my personal one, right? So I live in Krasnodar, which is kind of like one of the biggest cities closest to Ukraine. So what do we get there? So obviously, if you have a father, a son, or a husband at war, that's going to affect you a lot, right? Because it's war and people die. But me personally, I don't have that. I don't have anybody fighting. So how it affects me and my family, it's just, like after 8 o'clock, there is no internet outside of the house. Like really, people don't really feel the threat, is what I'm saying.
Sorry, iemand het nog iets boodskap gevra. Wat verstaan buitelanders verkeerd van julle land?
That's an interesting question. A question that somebody sent? What does people what does people understand about Russia that's not correct? I personally thought that I was a little bit afraid of Russians. And then I learned that they are really, really very kind people. But what do you think people understand wrong about Russians?
Yeah, so let me speak about your point, right? So there are different cultures around the world, but Russians, it's not that they have a straight face or they don't want to talk to you, but unless they have a genuine emotion of like happiness or something, they don't really show it, So it's like, it's not a straight face, but it's just the face of neutrality. It's like the best way to call it, Another thing about Russians, like people tend to generalize a lot, right? So whenever people ask me where are you from, and I just go Russian because like I don't want to get into it, right? And they're like, oh, so you like vodka and you're not scared of the cold? And I'm like, okay, like if that's what you want to get out of this, sure, But you have to understand that Russia is so big and there's so many cultures and there's so many languages, and some of them have nothing to do with each other, So like to describe Russia is very hard. And me personally, I've only traveled through, let's say 20% of it, if not less.
Het iemand nog 'n vraagie gevra, wie maak die beste plof in julle familie?
Die beste wat?
Plof, so P-L-O-V.
Oh, okay. Who's making the best plof in your family? This guy, this person knows more than what I know.
Obviously, it's me. But usually, like the proper plof.
Can you please tell us what plof is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys knew,
No idea.
So plof is an Uzbek dish, and usually you make it in Kazan. So it's like, oh man, that's hard. You have to make it in big portions, right? Like you have to make so many portions. And there is one place in Uzbekistan that I absolutely adore. It's Beshkozan, which roughly translates like 5 of those things you cook the plof in. And the way you make it, you take like big lumps of meat, you fry it in the oil. And after you add, like all the different vegetables, because the types of plof is like, there's so many. My personal favorite one is this it's the wedding plof, because of like they use like special spices for that and special ingredients. So when like that amount, and if you Google it, it's like you can make at least like 50 kilograms of plov in one pot. It's that massive. And to make plov that tastes like that at home is very difficult, you know. So I would recommend, if you want a nice plov, go to Uzbekistan. Oh, Marina, I think you know some details about the visa.
Ja.
Yes, I'm going to share in Afrikaans now with our listeners. I looked up a little bit about visas. If enige van ons luisteraars nou wil na een van die lande toe gaan, ek sien hier vir Uzbekistan moet 'n mens voor jy so intoe gaan en aansoek doen. Jy kan op die lughawe visa kry, maar jy moet authorization of toestemming kry voor die tyd. Vir Egipte kan jy op die lughawe kry 'n visa kry, en vir Rusland het jy nie 'n visa nodig nie. Jy kan vir 90 dae in Rusland gaan rondtoer, maar ek weet, ek het van tevore gesien dat hulle kan vra, jy moet bewys hê van verblyf en van miskien 'n mediese versekering, so, maar ons is, vir ons Suid-Afrikaners het nie visums nodig vir Rusland nie. Lyk my vir Egipte, dink ek kan jy vir 'n maand bly, maar vir Uzbekistan moet 'n mens seker met hulle ambassade in aanraking kom.
Het ons nog 'n volgende vraag gekry toe die mense kan nog vrae instuur vir ons. Wat sê aan in Samarkand of in Boekarije en wat dink sy van dit?
I think I understand the questions.
I think I am getting off okay, but
Samarkand, did you go to Samarkand, and the other one is
Boekarije.
Yeah.
Bukhara.
Boekarije.
Yeah. So Bukhara I went to when I was young, and Samarkand I went to maybe like 6 years ago with my family. It's really nice. It's very oriental, and it's very like there is an atmosphere of like Uzbekistan, because Tashkent is like, it's more globalized, you know. So you have like, you know, like supermarkets and, you know, stuff and tall buildings and whatnot. But when you go to Samarkand, you see these structures there that have been standing there for thousands of years. And the state that they have now, and you see people walking around town wearing national clothing. And it's just amazing, I swear. And everybody you meet there is so friendly. They invite you to their house. They want to show the culture, you know. Like to compare that, there is a city in Russia that has the same feeling for me. Obviously, you need to speak Russian, okay? Like Russians don't speak English, not many of them. But although in the city I'm talking about is Saint Petersburg. And St. Petersburg, because of Peter the First, it's so beautiful, like the architecture of it. And, you know, like, it's just amazing, like, to walk through it. And if you go there, I would recommend going at the end of June to beginning of July. Because of how north it is, you have white nights. So it's never dark in that city. For 2 weeks, you can just walk around 24/7. And it's like, it's my favorite place, really. And the people there, so you'll be standing and just looking at the building, right? And somebody will come to you, it's like, do you want to know the history of this building? And then they start walking with you along the streets and just showing everything. It's just amazing. Actually, I'm going there this summer with my family, and I'm really excited.
So dit is baie interessant wat sy van St. Petersburg vir ons vertel het, dat as jy in einde Junie, begin Julie gaan, dan is dit die hele tyd lig. Dit word nie donker nie, en die mense is baie vriendelik. Vra van jou, wil jou vertel meer van die geboue, maar jy moet natuurlik seker iemand het vir jou kan talk, want te praat nie regtig Engels, baie Engels daar.
So ek leer nie so baie goed hier by julle, en ek my kop staan nou oor see se kant toe, so ek is daar nie plek vir my ook in julle tas by Rusland toe nie.
He's asking, can we fit him in his suitcase and take him back to Russia?
Het iemand nou voor ons afsluit, het iemand vir ons iets gevra, wat is julle favorite sport?
Oh yeah, she did understand that question.
Ja. So sy begin al Afrikaans te staan.
Is that a question from the listeners or something?
Yes, that's a listener's
question. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Favorite sport?
my favorite sport. Okay. So I generally don't do sports as in like, go to lessons and everything. But like what keeps me sporty is dancing. That is also swimming.
Did you do ballet? Because we think that everybody comes from Russia as ballerinas.
I did at some point, but not that deep.
Yeah.
But it's not about all the Russian girls doing ballet. It's, I think, how you look at Russian women sometimes all over the world, and they have this kind of gracefulness in them, like how they hold themselves. And I think that's mainly because every girl had to dance. She had to do Latino American dance, she had to do gymnastics or ballet or something. So it's like, it's kind of inbred into the culture through this, I would definitely give my daughter to one of those. And I have one.
Do you love music?
I love music a lot. It's like one of the core things in my life, I love to sing. I love to dance. At some point I started making electronic music, and I was a DJ for a bit, So yeah, I've done many things,
So, and also what's the sport question? So in Russia, what is in Russia the number one sport?
Yeah. Rugby.
Of course. Well, why not? No, I think for me, it's hockey.
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey, ice skating, at least the places I have visited, right? Because we know Russia is big, people do different things. In some places, it might be horses. I know, I'll never know, But to continue with the question about sports that I drifted away from, now that I think about it, I love paddleboarding, because that's the only sport like I would do and enjoy it. Yeah. That's it.
En Anna nog nie eers op stilbaai paddleboarding gedoen nie. You can do paddleboarding on the river here, but you have to find the paddleboard.
Ja, ons gaan ietsie reël. Ons kan dalk vir jy, ons kan dalk reël dat jy gou 'n bietjie paddel nog. Maar dit so vertel ons, is iemand nog 'n nog 'n vraag gevra? Ja, die mense het nog vrae in vir ons. Vertel ons van die Accidents Silk Road.
Silk Road.
Yes, yeah.
Well, the Silk Road. The Silk Road, yeah, tell us more about the Silk Road. You said the Silk Road went through Uzbekistan. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the Silk Road?
Okay, so you want to test my knowledge of history, okay? That's fine. So the Silk Road, right? It went from the Great Wall of China, all of that, and that's how people traveled spices, textiles, and everything, right? So it's a road of trade. Don't ask me which year was that happening. I don't know. Okay, but yeah, because of that, like countries that were on the Silk Road kind of shared stuff, right? They shared the teas. They shared their spices and everything that went along. Honestly, I don't really understand the question.
So do you wat is die spesifieke level meer weet van die Silk Road?
Silk Road, yes.
It's just to tell that exactly what you said now. That's fine. Ja, soos ek het ook verstaan, dit is 'n roete waar wat hulle van die ooste af na die weste allerlei dinge gevat het, en langs die pad is al die kulture beïnvloed, soos Anna gesê het, en die spices, die teks, die materiaal, alles langs daai pad.
It's how the Asian culture reached the West, basically.
Ja, presies so.
Ek dink al hoe meer mense van Stilbaai sal seker nou wil reis na hierdie program wat ons aanbied. Voor ons afsluit, iets wat my ek het 'n bietjie gegoogel en gekyk al en wat voor ons afsluit, wat dalk iets vir sê vir ons Russies.
Okay, before we end this, can you tell us to say something in Russian, like, for example, how do you say hello to people, or you're welcome? So give us a bit of Russian.
Okay. So how do you say welcome, right? So there are different levels in Russian, so about the friendliness. So let's start with like more formal, not formal, but something like you speak with respect, right, to older people. It's здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Здра.
Drak.
Здра.
Dra.
Ствуйте. Let's pick an easier one. Okay, also you can say привет. It's like hi.
Привет.
Привет. That's good, right?
Yes.
Okay, we can go like привет. Как дела?
Привет, как дела?
Как дела?
Как дела?
Slow down. It's okay, you're no. Как дела?
Дела.
Как дела? It's how are you, right? Yeah. Привет, как дела? And what you reply is хорошо. Хорошо.
Хорошо.
Хорошо.
Хорошо.
Хорошо.
Хорошо, exactly. And that's good.
Ek gaan nog хорошо.
Хорошо.
But the other thing is, what's the word?
Yeah, Kavila means what?
How are you?
Yeah, in our language it has kind of a different meaning, that word, but anyway.
Well, now you know.
Ja, ek sê vir iemand dit moet sê iemand dat ek vloek hom.
You're not gonna tell me, huh?
Хорошо is easy.
Хорошо, dat is al nie wat hulle gesê wat hulle is op wat maklik wat gesê het
Привет.
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 Ja, привет.
Привет. Как дела?
Ja.
Хорошо.
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 Хорошо. Dan is dit bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
До свидания.
До свидания.
До свидания.
It's like an educated way to say this.
До свидания.
Oh, you're doing good. You can also say пока.
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 Пока. Why does it sound so?
As my vrou wil aflees, kom ek gaan sê poka. Die snaakste woorde. It's interesting. Weet jy, Marina, jy kan ook saamgestel die woorde wat mense uitspreek op die hele kultuur. Elke land het sy eie hulle ook 'n baie kultuur wat die mense gee. Dit is eintlik wonderlik hoe soos Nederland en Russies en
ja, elke land waar mens gaan is die daar basiese woorde wat jy eers leer en dis interessant en dan moet jy die uitspraak. Dit byvoorbeeld in Georgia, ek dink omtrent 2 maande gevat om dit reg uit te spreek om vir die bussies wanneer hy te sê stop. Want hulle stop anders stop hulle nie. Jy kan nie vir hulle sê stop nie. Ja, jy moet ook weet hoe om dit uit te spreek, anders verstaan nie wat jy sê. Ja.
Dus ek het baie goed geleer tussen jou en Anna. Nogals van my kant af en nog van ons reispan wil ek vir jou en baie dankie sê dat jy vir ons meer geleer oor Rusland, Egipte en Pakistan en vanaf ons baie dankie sê vir julle twee.
It's the same. Thank you so much for sharing more with us about these countries and you really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is ook iets laaste wat sy wil iets vir sê vir die mense daar buite?
Is there anything that you want to add to this? You want to say to the people?
Sy kan Rusland ook praat, sê wel.
You can also speak Russian.
Do I want to do? Since I don't know what your words mean anymore. Thank you so much for being interested in what I had to say. And I hope I can do this again. I really liked it.
Ja. Ons gaan jou weer nooi. Ons gaan jou weer gesels met jou. Marina, dankie vir jou dat jy talker is vandag vir ons. Waardeer jou moeite reg. Jy het al diep spore nou in ons radiostasie
getrap. Ja, ek oefen in die kerk ook, want Anna gaan saam met kerk toe en ek oefen nou. Dit is een ding om te dink, as jy moet begin regtig vertaal, dan moet 'n mens se brein vinnig werk. En baie keer kan jy nie die woord nie.
Ja, dis nogals. My kant wil ek sê baie dankie. Net na 10 wat julle weggaan en gaan ons regtereeks uitsaai by 'n vliegtuig uit. So.
What was that word?
Paka.
Paka.
Is dit?
Bye.
Is dit? Okay, nou leer ek gaan Okay, pakka. Okay, van my tot dan gaan ek eens sê pakka. Maar ek gaan sê ek weer okay. Lekker gaan, goed gaan en dan nou 10 soos regter is uit 'n vliegtuig uit. Gaan die eerste keer wees vir 'n radiostasie weer. So